Thank you for joining us. I'm Felicity Ezewike. Our coverage tonight begins in West Africa, where Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has approved the appointment of new members of the management team of the FGN Power Company Limited. The appointment is in recognition of the critical role of power supply in driving enterprise and industrial development, and as a part of comprehensive efforts to reform the power sector and ensure energy security for all Nigerians. The president anticipates that with the full constitution of the management team, the FGN Power Company Limited will work assiduously to realize the core objectives of the Presidential Power Initiative in close collaboration with Siemens Energy. The Central Bank of Nigeria has taken decisive action by revoking the licenses of 4,173 bureau de change operators for failing to meet regulatory guidelines. In a statement signed by the Acting Director of Corporate Communications, Sidi Hakama, the CBN invoked its powers under the Bank and Other Financial Institutions Act 2020 and the revised operational guidelines for bureau de change 2015 to withdraw the licenses. It said the affected operators did not comply with various regulatory provisions, including the payment of necessary fees, timely license renewal, and adherence to guidelines on anti-money laundering, countering the financing of terrorism, and counter-proliferation financing regulations. The CBN also urged members of the public to take note of the development as it revises the regulatory and supervisory guidelines for bureau de change operations in Nigeria. To discuss this, I'm joined by a chartered accountant, Aki Fatunke. Aki, it's good to have you on the news again. What is the impact this move is expected to have on the stability of the Nigerian financial system?
Good evening, Felicity, and good evening, Nigerians. Huge and far-reaching, I dare say. Looks to me like the CBN is getting its acts together, you know, getting its groove back as it speaks, so to speak. Been a great step, I dare say, a great decision. We need more than 4,000 or about 4,000 factories and not 4,000 bureau de change. Is doing what? Felicity at the last count. I'm sure you and many Nigerians will have seen the website of the CBN, where you have routine change like 14th February, happy ends, for crying out loud, JJC, rice and beans, 666. Nigeria became a cruise, young, free, and single. This were bureau de change that were licensed by operators. Why I think it's going to have a huge impact is that we are beginning to see a central bank which begins to look at regulations in line with what Dr. Yemi Cardoso has promised, and we seem to be going in the right direction. It looks like every other week, if not 2 times, we see policy review, policy changes. This time around, I like the strategy. What preceded it was CBN making it clear that it was going to begin to sell FX to BDCs. Of course, naturally, those of them that were shrouded, some of them that were just portfolio, all rushed apparently to be a part of this 4,000 that were seen to be portfolio investors. What does this do? Brings, in my mind, a kind of confidence to the foreign investors, foreign direct investors coming in, which Mr. Yemi Cardoso has promised that we are just waiting in the wings. It is also going to help a lot of stability from the monetary side. Gone are the days we are going to be doing ways and means. We are now going to be doing the real banking and real accounting for exactly what the central bank was set out to do and achieve. Albeit, this still remains a clap with one hand. We are having that, but what we want to see is more of clapping with two hands, by which time we expect that the physical will begin to make the correct noise to give fillip to what is going on here. I am happy with this. For the very first time, we see a central bank that is getting its groove back.
There's also say that this might increase the risk of challenges assessing foreign exchange, especially for legitimate transactions.
Of course, naturally, for any economic activity or policy directive or management of change, there will naturally be downsides. But, you know, without necessarily going to the nitty-gritty or being privy to what is happening, I will be surprised, pleasantly surprised, if the CBN has not envisaged this, and I would not put it back on. Why do we have our banks? We have over 4,000 banks with 33 major branches. All these have now been abandoned to BDCs, to the black market forces. We will now begin to see the hand of Esau and the voice of Jacob in our affairs that has dug us deep. Why is the banks not coming up and selling directly to customers? It tells you there's a bit of a disjoint. And Felicity, you cannot have any pain without some form of pain. It's going to be temporary. Those who are serious and serious-minded will now then come in. Have you wondered what is happening out there with the PO operators in all the marketplaces, all the OMBs, where you find our new notes being shared here around? We are
I think the most pressing thing as well is to minimize the pain and the stress that this would bring to people. So one would ask, what steps should the CBN take to minimize, the impact on the foreign exchange market in Nigeria?
Felicity, you took me back. Do we need banks? Do we have about 4,000 banks in this country with branches? I'm talking about 33 major banks, commercial banks in this country. Do we need them? Why would we want to leave the core business that the bankers should be doing and be selling in line with the prescription that has been given, and then we are now looking for short takes? Something similar to what we see, if you want to travel, you see in between people coming and all that. When you can press your phone and you can press, your technology, and you'll be able to take you there and take away all these middlemen. I personally don't think it is going to affect in the quantum that we are thinking we are going to see. I think it's going to clean up. We'll now begin to separate the men from the boys, people who are really ready to do what needs to be done. The CBN is not shutting them out. Are you serious? Come on, let's begin to be serious. What central bank has done was to close their eyes and continue to allow every nick and jiffy and the jet sums and the float sums to continue to control our economy to the detriment of the manufacturing sector, the commanding heights.
All right, beyond banning them, I mean, what other measures should the CBN take to ensure that the ones that are actually operating follow the regulatory standards and they don't default further?
Sanction them. Binance has just been sanctioned. Let's be very harsh and difficult. Now, what CBN has done is that if you get into a regulatory infraction, you don't pay your fees, you don't pay them on time, you are sanctioned. Look, big corporations and big companies, if you do not file certain things within specific times, with SEC, with the Nigerian Stock Exchange, you are still out with sanctions. So that's exactly what we need to continue to see. So what the CBN needs to do, in my mind, is to be ramrod, straightforward, bend not the rules. There were cries and a lot of cries from certain quarters that regulation should not be moved to certain places in terms of, the regulatory agencies. The CBN governor maintained the stand that I am here to stabilize prices and inflation and to make sure that the core element of what needs to be done should be done. So to sanction them.
I guess we'll see what happens in the coming days.
As an example, I also want the CBN to do something. Those who are complying, there will be one or two examples. Those are the type of BDCs that should come and take a handshake and even get a national award.
All right.
This is a national emergency that requires direct, positive, politically savvy back.
All right, Akin. Thank you as always. Thank you as always.
Thank you, Felicity.
All right, let's now tell you that the Nigerian government has imposed a staggering $10 billion fine on the cryptocurrency trading platform Binance, citing allegations of worsening the country's foreign exchange crisis. The special advisor to the President, Bola Tinubu, on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, revealed the punitive measure in an interview on Friday. Onanuga accused Binance of engaging in illegal transactions in Nigeria, reaping substantial profits while the nation suffered significant losses. Onanuga highlighted that Binance is not registered in Nigeria and lacks a physical presence in the country. He alleged that the platform allowed users to arbitrarily fix dollar-naira exchange rates, a practice that negatively impacted the value of the Nigerian currency. He noted that Binance has already begun cooperating with the Nigerian government, providing valuable information, and has suspended naira-related transactions on its platform. Nigeria's House of Representatives have called for the declaration of a state of emergency on the food and nutrition subsectors of the economy. This was during the inauguration of the House Committee on Nutrition and Food Security in the nation's capital, Abuja, where lawmakers also called for challenges affecting the sector tackled. My colleague Amadine Uyi reports.
With the prices of foodstuff in the country skyrocketing, this has increased the hardship being witnessed by citizens. Nigeria's House of Representatives, in a bid to address this challenge, recently inaugurated the House Committee on Food and Nutrition.
The mandate of our committee can be summarized thus: to urgently arrest the growing food crisis and malnutrition, which have become a serious threat to security and national development, by examining existing extant laws, evaluating their effectiveness, strengthening gray areas, and adopting an impactful synergy among the relevant MDAs.
Let me also re-emphasize the position of the House to improve food and nutrition for our people. In our resolve as a House to tame hunger and malnutrition, pursue food security and sustainable development, we prioritize agricultural development as a key legislative agenda based on our strong belief that the agricultural sector is a critical factor in growing the nation's economy and scaling down poverty rates.
Lawmakers say while many Nigerians now witness multidimensional poverty, there is a need to address challenges in the agricultural sector.
Most farmers in neighboring border states now prefer to sell their produce to markets outside the country to earn more than they would have earned selling them within Nigeria on account of currency fluctuation.
Food security is not an agriculture issue, it's not a health issue, it's not an environment issue, it's not physical security issue, it's all of it. And you need to have stakeholders around the table so that we can appreciate, we can do better. And the same thing with nutrition.
The committee called for the declaration of a state of emergency on the food and nutrition subsectors of the country.
This committee deems it wise to propose the declaration of state of emergency in nutrition and food security in Nigeria to address the issue with the required sense of urgency and multi-stakeholder strategic participatory approach.
In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
To discuss this, we're joined by Felix Palm, farmer and economist. It's good to have you on tonight. When you hear that the House of Representatives is calling on government to declare a state of emergency on food security, what do you look forward to seeing?
Okay, first of all, most importantly, is to start with the issue of insecurity. Where there's insecurity, farmers cannot go to their farms. And farmers need guaranteed supply. The market needs guaranteed supply. Where farmers cannot go to their farms, the issue of insecurity is a very serious issue that must be tackled, especially in states where that are agriculturally viable, both plants and the normal agriculture. Okay, so the issue of insecurity needs to be tackled, and then also we need to look at productivity. What do the farmers get from what they sell? What is coming out from what they are able to plant and put in? What they are able to invest. Okay, once we are able to tackle this to guarantee supply, because the problem is supply. What are the issues burden around supply of goods and agricultural products? If these farmers are not encouraged, they've been doing a lot of things in the past, but how effective have they been? Okay, we've been having issues of how much is the agricultural inputs, how much is the price of a bag of fertilizer now? We're looking at 28,000 naira. Okay, so there should be a system where inputs should be available in sustained capacity. We should go back to the local governments because that's where the farmers are. What kind of infrastructures do we have in the local governments? When we're talking about logistics, what happens when you are trying to get your product from the farm to the market? You see, these things are, it's not rocket science. Other countries have been able to do it successfully. That doesn't mean that Nigeria cannot do it. We've been producing over time. Our productivity level, how confident are the farmers in going to their farms to bring out their output? Those are things that we should be looking at. We have more investments, both locally and internationally. We have our president has been going out to woo investors to come into the country. We also need farmers that will come in and bring in monies, bring in dollars, bring in investments into agriculture, both from the subsistence level down to processing, down to prevent post-harvest losses, and a lot of things. These are things that government should look into, and we are not looking at just the government, but at all levels, even investors should look into coming into agriculture to mitigate against all these problems.
Do you feel that declaring a state of emergency will help this?
Definitely it would. Declaring a state of emergency means more emphasis should be put on agriculture. Now, when you do that, at least there's more effort both by all stakeholders. It is not only the government that does that. We have private individuals, we have state government, and then, like I said, the local governments. That is where the farmers are. For example, in Plateau State, PADP, there are different investments that have been done in the past. What happened to ASTC and all that? And that's for example, in Plateau State. So we are looking at other states, even in the north. We have arable land lying fallow, and nobody is there to cultivate those lands. We have people that are coming into agriculture, both at manufacturing level, the inputs, the implements. We should not be thinking of bringing in tractors, and we have people that can develop that infrastructure within the country. Unless and until we do that, we'll be able to shore up agricultural production in the country.
Lex, thank you, as always, for speaking with us.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Over 70 persons suspected of committing different offences were on Friday paraded by joint operation of security agencies led by Operation Safe Haven in Jos, capital of Plateau State. Chizoba Anyowe was there for News Central in our report.
This is the first parade of criminal suspects by the combined security agencies in Plateau State this year. It is also the first time this huge number of young men are facing journalists in recent time. Their cases may not be unconnected with the many civil unrest that rocked some parts of Kaduna and Bauchi states, which includes the 2023 Christmas Eve attacks in some parts of Plateau State. The development was credited to a boost in the capacity of personnel as promised by the service chiefs during their operational assessment of the security situation on the plateau.
Security agencies also neutralized a total of 13 armed criminals and arrested 271 suspects for offenses related to kidnapping, armed robbery, gun running, banditry, farm destruction, vandalism, and other sundry crimes. So far, we have prosecuted a total of 33 arrested suspects to court and dismantled 2 arms fabrication factories. Also, personnel recovered a total of 454 livestock from restaurants.
Operation Safe Haven reaffirmed our commitment in ensuring sustainable peace is achieved in troubled areas within her areas of coverage.
Operation Safe Haven appreciates the good people of Plateau, Kaduna, and Bauchi State for their immense support and cooperation towards ensuring credible information is provided to aid the successful conduct of operations by security agencies towards flushing of criminal elements and their collaborators.
A total of 79 civilians were rescued from the kidnappers and armed robbers, while 110 different calibers of weapons and 1,161 ammunition were recovered from suspected criminals. In Jos for News Central, I am Chizoba Anyowe.
The Nigerian police has a not-so-cordial relationship with Nigerian citizens. This somewhat not-so-pleasant relationship stems largely from the excessive force on people, cases of corrupt practices, and many instances of infringing on the rights of citizens. While it must be noted that there are police officers who live up to their responsibilities, the actions of the bad eggs among them has over time left them with a serious trust deficit. News Center's Bettina Uweli tells us more.
The relationship between Nigerian citizens and the Nigeria police force is a love and hate one. On the strength of the mantra, "The police is your friend," many expect the force to provide citizens with security and safety. Unfortunately, many Nigerians have sad tales to tell of their bitter experiences at the hands of officers of the police force.
Police is the friend of community. Right from time, police is my friend. If you don't steal, you don't fight, you don't commit, you don't do anything, police is your friend. So if you follow those laws, police are your friend.
If they are a friend, they're supposed to be like watching over us, not going after us, not arresting innocent souls, trying to save lives and properties and take care of the needy. But this way now you find it when you see a policeman now who arrests somebody driving on the right side, trying to install money from them, that is wrong, totally wrong.
Stories abound of cases where police officers have abused citizens and violated their rights, and in some cases, innocent persons have been subjected to harrowing ordeals as criminals. But the police authorities are making efforts to right these wrongs through various means, such as their complaints response unit.
Other states have started coming up. Lagos State was the first to create a complaint response unit. So this is to make officers accountable, and it's a good thing. It's good to note that many Nigerians, or many Lagosians in particular, now have been taking advantage of that. They quickly reach out to us when they see things going wrong. And we also take advantage of multimedia messages too. People just take out their phones, record police officers misbehaving, and send to us, and we're able to use it. So we are very mindful of that, and we encourage more and more people to take advantage of the complete response unit, take advantage of the numbers we've rolled out there, numbers of all DPOs, so that by the time you call your DPO and there is no tangible response, at least it's closest to you, then you can reach the complete response unit and we'll try to do something about it. Well, for Lagos State, we have 2 3-digit numbers and they are toll-free. We have 767 and we have 112, and they actually work.
In any society, it is the responsibility of the police to maintain law and order. The significance of this role cannot be overemphasized, and this underscores the importance of efforts to reform the Nigeria police force. In Lagos, for News Central, Bettina Nwili.
Gender experts in Nigeria say about $40 billion is needed to bring about gender equality for women in Africa. This was as Nigeria's Ministry for Women Affairs, where they urged citizens to support efforts aimed at ensuring economic inclusion of women and girls in the country, while calling for an end to financial inequality of women. They say much is needed to attain the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 5, as estimates indicate that almost $400 billion is needed to achieve this feat.
Our global economic system is failing women. Our global economic system is failing women. How? Financial inclusion. Financial investment in women remains alarmingly low. An additional $360 billion annually is needed to achieve SDG 5 on gender equality and women's empowerment. And the African Development Bank also said for Africa, we need at least $40 billion to bring about gender equality in Africa.
There are huge gender equality gaps, social, economic insecurity challenges that women and girls are facing today, including early child marriage, violence, abuse, and trafficking, among others. Child marriage is one of the most grievous forms of violence perpetrated against girls. It is a human rights violation and a form of gender-based violence as well.
If you want to write for help for us, and you really have the good intention of helping Nigeria, write for people that will help us either donate these industrial machines.
The world of workers is facing unprecedented changes. New technologies such as artificial intelligence, robotics, automation, and digitization of the economy, along with the changes in the socio-political patterns and climate change, are shifting the nature of work.
If the workers are well paid, you won't see any reactions coming out from the labor leaders. But what you are seeing now is as a result of the hardship economy that all of us are passing through in this country today. So to me, as an representative of the workers, ours is to protect their welfare and tell the whole world that all is not well. And that is why you see the Nigerian Labour Congress coming out and say, well, let's register our awareness before the government, the area of challenges, what average citizens are passing through in this country. And that is why you see everybody.
Find out more about what the Maritime Workers Association of Nigeria's leadership is doing to position its members to be competitive among workers in similar jobs around the world. Watch Maritime Radar on Saturday, 7 p.m. and a repeat broadcast on Sunday, 1 p.m. here on News Central. A memorial funeral service has been held for the late group chairman of the Nigerian Exchange Group PLC, Abimbola Ogunbanjo. Ogunbanjo was one of the victims of the ill-fated helicopter crash, which also killed Herbert Wigwe, the former group chief executive officer of Access Holdings. News Central's Bernard Kede was at the service.
A solemn service it was as friends, families and well-wishers gathered to pay their last respect to Abimbola Ogunbanjo. Until his tragic passing, Ogunbanjo was the group chairman of the Nigerian Exchange Group PLC, and at 61, many felt he still had a lot to offer. The Church of the Nativity in Ikoyi, Lagos, was packed full with dignitaries who at one point or the other had interfaced with the deceased and found it hard to believe he was no more.
In his honor, corporations will rise bearing his name. Foundations will be formed and stand as a testament to his legacy. And as long as I breathe, his memory will endure, an eternal flame of remembrance and inspiration to everyone in this room. May the memory of his kindness, wisdom, and love be a guiding light for us all as we navigate the journey ahead.
Abimbola Ogunbanjo was one of 6 persons who lost their lives when their helicopter crashed in California. Also on board were Herbert Wigwe, the former group chief executive officer of Access Holdings, his wife Chizoba, and his son Chizi, all of whom lost their lives. After the service, most of the attendees refused to speak to the press as they were still in shock and mourning. But for those who did speak, they could only wish this was all a bad dream.
He was a nice guy, hardworking guy, forthright. He had this exceptional wisdom, manners of talking and constructing things. He was very, very forthcoming. He'll be greatly missed.
Bimbo was a gentleman. He was very kind-hearted, and he had an infectious smile, and it makes it all the more tragic to think that such a wonderful soul, such a soul that filled the room, has left us.
The remains of Abimbola Ogunbanjo were later taken to his hometown in Ijebu, Ogun State, where he was finally laid to rest. In Lagos for News Central, I'm Bernard Akedi.
Thank you for staying with us. In Central Africa, Chad's opposition party has condemned the death of the leading adversary of the ruling junta, describing it as an assassination by the presidential guard. Yaya Dilo Dijoru, the leader of the Socialist Party Without Borders, died in the capital in N'Djamena ahead of a May election where he was set to face his cousin and transitional president Mohamed Idris Deby Itno. The 49-year-old opposition leader had been accused of leading an attack against the offices of the Internal Security Agency, which he denied. Following his death, internet access was cut in the capital, and the army conducted an assault on the party's main office. Kenya and Haiti have signed a reciprocal agreement on Friday, allowing police from Kenya to lead a UN-backed mission to address the violence and lawlessness in Haiti. Kenya had offered to provide up to 1,000 personnel for the mission, a move supported by the United States and other countries. However, a Nairobi court ruled that the decision was unconstitutional due to the lack of reciprocal agreement between the two countries. The signing of the agreement comes after the UN Security Council approved the multinational mission in early October. Kenya's President William Ruto and Haiti's Prime Minister expressed optimism that the deployment of the Kenyan police will help restore peace and stability in Haiti.
Ariel Henry, here with me, and I have witnessed the signing of this instrument, we have also discussed the next steps to enable the fast tracking of this deployment.
Let's take some business news.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
Welcome to Business News. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, plans to issue treasury bills worth 1.64 trillion naira in the second quarter of 2024. This is according to the Nigeria Treasury Bills Issue Program. The program, running from March 7th to May 23rd, will include treasury bills TBs with tenors of 91 days, 182 days, and 364 days. In March, the CBN aims to sell 660.62 billion naira worth of TBs, followed by 292.17 billion naira in April and 688.3 billion naira in May. TBs are short-term debt instruments used by the CBN to borrow funds on behalf of the federal government to make up for budget deficits, fund projects, and in some cases, to manage the money supply in the economy. And staying with monetary issues, the World Bank has recommended that Zimbabwe adopt a free-floating exchange rate and regularize the role of its central bank to restore macroeconomic stability. The country faces challenges such as limited access to external financing, low tax collection, a rapidly depreciating exchange rate, and high inflation. The bank emphasized the urgent need to liberalize the foreign exchange market, adopting foreign exchange surrender requirements, and reforming the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe's quasi-fiscal operations. Zimbabwe has grappled with economic mismanagement, hyperinflation, and multiple exchange rates, leading to challenges in its financial system. And finally, starting March 6, South African motorists will face a significant fuel price hike, with petrol increasing by 1.20 per litre. With petrol increasing by 1.20 rand per litre and diesel by 1.18 rand per litre. The latest increase follows a surge in international product prices and a weaker rand, putting additional strain on consumers grappling with high interest rates and inflation. The Nation's Automobile Association, AA, noted that the March increase is steeper than February's, intensifying the financial challenges for South African households. Despite the National Treasury maintaining the general fuel levy and the road accident fund in the 2024 budget, rising fuel prices contribute to economic difficulties for consumers. These are the business stories we're tracking at this hour. Thank you for watching. I am Perpetua Fasami Peter. The news continues shortly. Bye for now.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
Sports news is next on tonight with Babatunde Kweki.
Hello and welcome to Sports News. We start with some news from football, where Tottenham Hotspur forward Richarlison will be out for 3 to 4 weeks with a knee injury, according to Spurs coach Ange Postecoglou. The 26-year-old Brazilian picked up an injury during Tottenham's 2-1 defeat by Wolves. Richarlison has scored 10 goals in 22 top-flight games this season. And Tottenham have struggled with injuries in recent weeks without Postecoglou, still without defender Pedro Porro and Ryan Sessegnon, and is set to miss the rest of the season after having surgery on his hamstring this week. But they could be boosted by the return of fullback Destiny Udogie, who was back in training this week. Tottenham are 5th in the Premier League and have 5 points off the 4th-placed Aston Villa and host Crystal Palace on Saturday. Driving off to Formula One now, and reigning world champion Max Verstappen put on an ominous performance in the final qualifying round, throwing down the gauntlet to his rivals and taking pole position for the season-opening Bahrain Grand Prix. The Red Bull driver was 0.228 seconds quicker than Ferrari's Charles Leclerc in second, while Mercedes' George Russell was third, with Ferrari's Carlos Sainz coming in fourth. Mercedes' Lewis Hamilton was only ninth, 0.225 seconds behind teammate Russell, while Red Bull's Sergio Perez was fifth from Aston Martin's Fernando Alonso. With McLaren's Lando Norris, Max Verstappen will start his quest for a 4th successive Formula One world title from pole position on Saturday's season-opening Bahrain Grand Prix. And to football now, convicted former Ajax and Dutch international winger Quincy Promes has been arrested in Dubai 2 weeks after a court in the Netherlands sentenced him to 6 years for smuggling more than a ton of cocaine. The 32-year-old, now playing for Spartak Moscow, was believed to have been arrested at the airport as his club was flying out after a training camp. Previous attempts to extradite him from Moscow have failed, and judges at the Amsterdam District Court have issued a warrant for his arrest after he was sentenced on the 14th of February. The court said Promes had smuggled a total of over a ton of 1,000 kilograms of cocaine from Brazil in 2020 through the Belgian port of Antwerp into the Netherlands with the help of an accomplice. The drugs haul was stashed in bags of salt in containers on board a ship, later partially intercepted by customs officials. And that's all we have on sports. It's back to you, Felicity.
Thank you for staying with us. Now, moving away from entertainment stories, let's now tell you what is trending. Currently stirring discussions on social media, and particularly on X, is IBD Dende, after a video circulated on social media depicting IBD Dende allegedly threatening to harm a customs officer for confiscating his smuggled goods. Numerous speculations have emerged regarding IBD's actions. Some individuals speculate that this boldness may stem from an influential connections with the government. Now let's delve into some reactions on X. Yusuf is saying, there's a reason IBD Dende is so bold. This is because thieves are highly protected in this country. All you need is just a strong person in power to be by your side. Another tweet is saying that IBD then they have the audacity to even challenge armed operatives of the Nigerian customs for seizing his smuggled trailers of rice in a viral video. It is very worrisome. It also calls for urgent reforms in the NCS. I think this is the last tweet. It's saying nothing should surprise you when you see a well-known smuggler threatening to beat and kill a custom officer for seizing his illegal goods. IBD Dende is one of the most notorious smugglers in the Southwest. He is highly connected and brags about it. Nigeria is indeed a crime scene, and the criminals are the rulers. Moving away from that, next up on what's trending is Binance. The Nigerian government is demanding $10 billion from the Binance due to alleged illegal transactions in Nigeria, aiming to stabilize the local currency. Bayo Onanuga, advisor to President Bola Tinubu, revealed this during an interview this morning. Before we call it a wrap on what's trending tonight, let's take some more reactions on Twitter. Nigerian government demands $10 billion from Binance, citing the exchange profited from its illegal transactions. It seems like the Nigerian government wants to use this opportunity to clear part of their national debts. The next tweet is saying, cost of living they increase, climate they change, economy they scatter, but now Binance be this administration. But now Binance, this administration won't follow fights. And here's the last tweet from John saying, I think saying now Binance be the problem. Why dollar see the rise? Federal government just the clueless. We have to go now. That's all we can take on what's trending tonight. I am Jadel Simon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jadel. And that's where we wrap things up. But before we go, I'd like to ask you quickly, Babatunde, how well did you know Tolani? He left us at a very young age.
To be honest, I'm not a big fan of Nigerian movies, but I will tell you one thing. I actually do know the customs officer that IBD Deni was personally threatening in that video, and he did confirm that it did happen. So, yeah, it just shows you how interesting this country can be at times.
All right. Any thoughts, Jadel?
What I think is the government should actually really look into this so as not to encourage, this kind of behaviors towards people in authority. So yes, the government should actually do something about it.
All right, guys, thanks as always. That's where we wrap things tonight. Before we go, another look at the major stories. President Bola Tinubu appoints new FGN Power Company management team. Central Bank of Nigeria revokes licenses of 4,173 bureau de change operators. Chad opposition party decries killing of leader Nigeru. Kenya, Haiti sign accord on police deployment. Do send your eyewitness report. The number showing now on your screen. You can also follow us at our social media handles at News Central TV. You can watch live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. As always, thank you very much for your kind company. Have a lovely weekend.